everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm the Chief Returning Officer for the University of Alberta Students' Union. I don't speak French, I'm so sorry. Welcome to the Forum. The races that will be contested for today's forum include all the races in the first general election of the year. So we'll be hearing from our candidates for President, Vice President Academic, Vice President External, Vice President Operations and Finance, Vice President Student Life, Board of Governors Representative, and the Gateway Plebiscite Yes side. Thank you so much for spending your lunchtime with us. The format for the forum will be that each candidate will get a 1 minute and 45-second speaking turn to introduce themselves and their platforms. Then we will move straight to the opportunity to answer audience questions with 1 minute responses. So if you want to ask a question, the mic is just right in front of me. And that'll be just towards the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the presidential race. And Fahim Rahman is the first candidate for president.
Je m'appelle Fahim Rahman et je vais être votre président pour l'Union d'étudiants. J'ai 4 groupes principaux pour l'Union et c'est agrandir la programmation de la santé mentale, augmenter l'exponentielle d'étudiants, créer des occasions d'apprentissage intellectuel et assurer l'autonomie pour les groupes d'étudiants. Aujourd'hui, je veux parler principalement sur une chose. Aujourd'hui, je veux parler sur comment les professions d'apprentissage virtuelles. Je sais que vous êtes gens pour lancer en profession, mais il n'y a pas une personne, il y a un bureau qui peut faire ça. Basically, I really want to create an experience of learning opportunities for students who study on campus just because I know that there's no dedicated office to make that happen. In today's hyper-competitive economy, we really need to make sure that students get work experience before they graduate. It happens in business, it happens in education, it happens in engineering, it doesn't happen enough in science, or especially for campus info. So that's what I want to focus on to find out about this. Si je suis élu comme président, je dois créer un bureau Je vais créer un bureau qui ne va jamais faire de la discrimination contre votre faculté. Si tu es un étudiant au campus Saint-Jean ou au campus, tu devrais avoir l'occasion de gagner des avantages de l'apprentissage virtuel. Merci pour votre temps. Si tu as des questions, demande-moi s'il te plaît. Regarde mon website www.bookroom.com. Si tu as des questions, demande-moi s'il te plaît. Et le 2 et 3 mars, croyez en Fahim et votez Rahman comme président. Thank you, Review. Next up, your next candidate for president is Cody Saunders.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. Like Jessica said, my name is Cody. I'm running to be your president. A bit about me. What I did this year, I was the VP Operations and Finance. So a lot of what I focused on was some of the more operational things in the Students' Union, specifically some of the things that I managed to achieve. For the first time this year, the SU Awards will be available in both national languages, which is fantastic, and looking kind of to the future and what we can do next. So what I want to focus on today, something that kind of touches on all campuses, the big thing that I'm promising. I'm looking at student voice, looking at equity, very vague, very broad, but what I really specifically want to focus on is tuition, specifically international. So it's no secret that domestic and international tuition is different. International tuition is actually 3.5 times the cost of the base domestic tuition fee, and it's something that has literally no regulation. So what I want to do if elected is really look at the differences between the two types of tuition. So the government and the public usually uses the excuse that international students and their families don't pay into the tax pool, so why should we subsidize them? I don't think it's really fair. I think that a lot of international students do work part-time, do contribute to the tax pool. We do have a global responsibility to be able to offer comparable tuition between domestic and international students. Not necessarily saying that it has to be the exact same price, but looking specifically at regulating international tuition. Currently, a student who's an international student going from their third to their final year, their tuition may double, and there's nothing else. There's nothing to stop it. So they're essentially being held hostage by the university and asked to pay a ransom to get their degree because there's no predictability. So what I want to do is ask the government to put in legislation and cap on international tuition. Again, not necessarily saying it has to be the same price as domestic tuition, but make it above all predictable. So votecody.com, vote for president. Thank you.
Cody, your last candidate for president is Dylan Hanwell.
So yeah, my name is Dylan Handel. I'm running for president. And before I begin, I just want to say I'm really happy to be here. It's awesome. I love CSJ. This last year I've been the VP External at the Students' Union, and I've got a lot of chance to come out here. We ran the French viewing debate, or the French debate viewing here. Some of you are nodding, you're probably here. And you guys are awesome. But before I begin, I think the one thing, it's funny because CSJ is a really interesting forum because I think a lot of the times you'll get a bunch of candidates that'll come here and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for CSJ. CSJ has this problem and I think I'm going to solve it. And I think I have a bit of a different view on it. One of my platform themes is this idea that students build student community, that community is built from the ground up, that tradition is built from the ground up, and that culture is built from the ground up. And I think honestly, CSJ is one of the best places that happens. I think not only do students, but also the administration understand that students, like risk management, shouldn't be put over top of culture or community or tradition. And I think for that sense, CSJ can be a leader in that in that aspect. It's not about, you have this problem, you need to change it. I think we need to start looking at places like CSJ as a place to be leaders when we're talking about building campus community. That doesn't stop the fact that there are issues with CSJ. I think there's an issue under that theme of community building, like students building community. Residents associations need to be given the ability to collect fees again. That's on my platform. Student participant needs to come under the Students' Union. That's under my platform. But I think more than anything, CSJ should be looked at by the Students' Union as a leader in these aspects. But yeah, my name is Dylan Handel again. I'm running for president. I appreciate your vote next week. Thanks for listening.
Those are your three candidates for president. Next is the vice president academic race, and there are two candidates this year. The first candidate is Marina Bannister.
Hi everyone, my name is Marina Bannister and I'm running for Vice President Academic. If elected, there are a number of issues I would like to address, and you can read about those at my platform on votemarina.ca. However, I'm going to quickly talk to you about two of the issues I think really affect CSJ students. First of all, I would like to advocate for more interdisciplinary course options. At CSJ, I think you guys are really lucky because you interact with students from lots of different faculties. And I think that collaboration does nothing but enhance your university experience. However, there's a lot of faculties at the university that don't have that right now. If elected, I'm going to work to challenge the funding model to make sure there's more courses offered in all the faculties for people outside that specific program. Second of all, I want to increase experiential learning opportunities. In collaboration with the Students' Union's submission to the Strategic Institutional Plan, I want to make sure that if they create that under one specific office, we have student representation on that committee, and specifically someone from CSJ, so that means you guys won't be left out when they decide who gets to do CSL and who gets to have undergraduate research experience. The vote is next Wednesday and Thursday, March 2nd and 3rd, and I hope you vote for me, Marina Bannister, for your Vice President Academic. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. So the next candidate for vice president academic is Tom Patrick.
Hello, my name is Tom Patrick, and I am hoping to be your next Vice President Academic. Vice President Academic is all about doing this internal advocacy to the university. And I think, as with any executive position, you really have to represent all students. So that's students on North Campus, students at Campus St. John, all of them. And I think that my platform really reflects and respects that in terms of the solutions that I'm proposing to some of these issues. Two of my platform points I'm going to talk about today. Number one is quality of instruction. A lot of professors love teaching 400 level courses. These courses are specific, the professor can talk about their research, that's awesome. These same professors often don't really enjoy teaching 100 level courses. I think that's a real shame. 100 level courses are very important and students deserve to have engaged and enthusiastic instructors. So I'm going to advocate for a stream of faculty that only does teaching to make sure that we have high quality teaching at all levels. As well, another one of my platform points is all about representation. I plan on bringing to Students' Council a consultative framework that Students' Council is bound by. So when they want to make certain decisions, such as creating new policies or putting new fees in place, they actually have to talk to students at large, talk to special interest groups, say like Campus St. John, and make sure that all these voices are being heard. As well, one of the things I talk about on my platform is representative associations and how we can put the tools into their hands so that students can deal with issues that affect them. I'm not Fred CSJ. This is, I think, my second time being here. It's an amazing building, super bells. But I think that I don't know your issues as well as you, but I plan on putting the tools in the hands of you so that we can work these issues out together and do effective advocacy for the best university experience possible. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Tom Patrick. Vice President Academic.
Okay, thank you, Tom. So those are your candidates for Vice President Academic. The next race is Vice President External, and we will start with the three candidates this year, and we'll start with Reed Larson.
Hi everybody, my name is Reed Larson. I'm running to be your nice, maybe your nice one. Your next Vice President Academic. No, External. I'll stop with this case now. I apologize. I would like to thank everybody for coming out today. I would really like to thank you for sitting down with us during your lunch hour. That's actually a pretty big thing. Now, what I've been talking with people all week, and one of the big things that I do when I sit down with students immediately is talk about voter representation. That is a very, very, very big thing for me. It's very important that you realize that the person who sits in this role will be the person who speaks on your behalf. They will be the person who goes to external governments and asks for all the things that these people are talking about, all of these fine people are talking about. I really, really think it's important that everybody here comes out and votes, and I really, really do believe it's important that we all understand how important that is. If we all vote together, we can all really make change. With the confidence of your vote, I want us to accomplish, first of all, and only one thing for today, which is employment opportunities for both undergraduates and recent graduated students. Right now, our employment programs for undergraduate students are exclusive to people who only are Alberta residents. So when I say undergraduate employment programs, I'm talking about the things that are subsidized programs from our provincial government. They are not for all students. They are not for international students. They are not for people from around Canada. They are not for people from Quebec, from Ontario, from Newfoundland, and they really should be for everybody. Working here is what makes us want to stay here. It's what gives us the ability to contribute to this community. That's what I'm really important about today. If you want to check out the rest, you might know what the acronym stands for. We have mental health services, we have employment, we have tuition, and we have housing. Please check me out at readforbp.com. Thanks a lot for your time and have a good one.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike and I'm running for VP External. So there are a few problems with post-secondary education in Alberta, and I have impactful, meaningful solutions that I'd like to tell you guys about today. So post-secondary education is first off way too expensive. We're also the only province in all of Canada that doesn't have a grant system. So 3 solutions to high cost of education have been brought up in the past few days. There's regulating mandatory non-instructional fees, there's free tuition, and then there's a grant system, something that I've been pushing for since day one. Now, mandatory non-instructional fees are a symptom of a much larger problem. Universities are funded right now on this ad hoc basis, so their funding is very highly unstable. That's why universities in Alberta, just a few years ago, when we took a 5% cut all across the board, That's why mandatory non-instructional fees were raised, because the universities were looking for ways to reclaim that funding. So what I'm proposing is I'm pushing for a funding framework, one that provides predictable and stable funding for the next few years for the university. And the idea behind that is that had the funding framework been in place, we wouldn't have taken account of funding and we wouldn't have had suddenly increasing mandatory non-instructional fees, because those are all just symptoms of a much larger thing. So I want to just say that I'm the only candidate that supports a funding framework and that ensures that student fees as well as mental health funding doesn't get cut. Second thing that I want to do is I want to touch on the idea of free tuition. So recently Ontario promised to provide low-income students with free tuition. And so that's been proposed as a solution to Alberta. The only thing that I want to say to that is that Ontario's free tuition is actually something that evolved out of the grade and math system. They were receiving 30% off their tuition for the past few years. That's something that just kind of came out of this. This is an extension to something that already exists. What I'm pushing for is a grant system for low and middle income students. I want to make sure that low and middle income students are provided with $3,000 and $300 per year. So, yeah, these are real ideas. Let's do that quickly.
And your last candidate for Vice President External is Patrick Mejia.
Salut les amis. Donc je vais vous parler de pourquoi je me présente en tant que vice-président externe du PASU. L'une des choses les plus importantes pour moi, c'est l'accessibilité à l'université. Parce que là, moi étant dans ma 5e année, j'ai déjà 40 000 $ en dette. Moi je ne crois pas que l'éducation postsecondaire devrait être de cheminement vers l'endettement éternel. Je crois que chaque étudiant, peu importe de son contexte financier, devrait avoir l'opportunité de venir à l'université, d'avoir une meilleure vie que leurs parents, d'être capable d'acheter un chrono après l'université et ne pas retourner dans le sous-sol de ses parents. Là, afin d'accomplir cela, j'ai plusieurs choses que je veux aborder et je crois que maintenant c'est le temps d'être audacieux, pas réaliste. Parce que là, ils nous ont dit qu'on n'aurait jamais un gouvernement NPD en Alberta. Voilà, on a eu. Ils nous ont dit qu'on n'aurait jamais un président noir. Voilà, on l'a eu. Et donc, pour que les choses changent, il faut que quelqu'un ait de nouvelles idées. Pas un réalisme qui veut pas améliorer les choses, ou peut-être qu'il veut seulement améliorer les choses petit à petit. Ça n'a pas de bon sens. Là, nous sommes dans une époque où on peut effectuer des changements. On voit un socialiste qui gagne beaucoup de pouvoir aux États-Unis. On voit un fou qui gagne également autant de pouvoir. Et je crois que c'est très important que nous ayons cette même mentalité ici, mais pour du changement positif pour les étudiants. Pour que chaque étudiant ait un futur positif et qui peut vraiment contribuer à la société comme on a voulu. Merci.
So there are 3 candidates for Vice President External. The next race is the Vice President Operations and Finance race, and we'll start with the 3 candidates this year, and we'll start with Tim O'Malley.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim O'Malley, and I'm running for Operations and Finance. 3 reasons why I'm the right candidate. Number 1, I've been part of the student union as a council member, and I've been in those committees that deal with your operations and finance. Number 2, as a business student, I have the background, and most importantly, I was working in a financial institution, which gave me the confidence to handle your 11-month movement. But most importantly, I understand the students. I've been part of the Greek life, resident life, I've been an international student, and now I'm a domestic student. I understand the security of this campus is an issue. I understand this fine specimen here was broken into. But concerning my portfolio, because of the disconnect between the students' union and the students, a lot of you don't know that your student union fees is going to be increasing $3 per semester for the next 3 years. It's due to the increase in the minimum wage that is putting a burden on the budget. As a result, that fee increase only is going to cover 60% of that the deficit we're going to have because of the increase in the minimum wage. The rest 40% falls under my portfolio to make sure the businesses, our businesses are doing well enough to cover that 40%. Our services are cost efficient. So it's a very important next year we have. We don't have to pass the burden to the students. A lot of you didn't know about the free fees. A lot of you were not consulted. And that's not the kind of VP Operation Finance I want to be. I don't want to follow the pathway of the UFA where we increase student fees every year. We don't want to be that union. So my job will be next year to ensure our businesses are doing well, our services are cost effective, so that students overall can get the quality you deserve.
Thank you, Tamer.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Our second candidate for VP Ops-I is Hassan Pirai. He cannot attend today for his proxy in place. Thank you, Parker.
Hi everybody, I'm just going to read a few things that Hassan and I heard from Conversation on students before we came here today. We feel forgotten, we feel like our voice isn't heard, we feel like our education is of slightly lesser quality, we feel like we're not included in main campus activities, and lastly, it's almost like we're international students because we speak a different language and have our own campus. So that really spoke to Hassan and myself. He's running for VP Operations Finance this year on the campaign Connecting Students and Creating Value for All Students. He's going to do that with 4 actual points. The first is to set up a unique student discount service where we will actually go after businesses on and off campus to try and improve the quality and the amount of discounts available to students. Secondly, he's going to try to increase international harmony, including the awareness of the multicultural nature of the University of Alberta, including the French campus here. Thirdly, he's going to set term tuition. There's been a lot of confusion on that point. What that basically means is at the top of a 4-year degree for domestic or international students, you'd be given a fixed amount and tuition could increase over the 4 years. This is especially close to Hassan's heart as an international student from Turkey. Very difficult for him and his family to save for his future. He's in the 3rd year of his honors economics degree, and each year international tuition is increased. Finally, Hassan wants to scrutinize the student union's business portfolio to ensure every single student union business is not only good for students, but good for the financial future of the students' union. Thank you for listening, and please vote Hassan Pirai for VP Operations Finance.
Thank you, Parker. Last candidate for VP Ops-I is Robin Patches.
My name is Robin Patches, and I'm running for VP Operations and Finance. Now, as you've learned, the VP Operations and Finance is on finance businesses and the budget, etc., etc. However, I'll be honest, Operations and Finance is mainly focused on running businesses up on North Campus. So I'd like to change the shift the tone to a little bit, especially a special part of my platform that is very close to me, and that's student safety. My platform is healthy food, sustainable infrastructure, student safety, and I'd like to focus on that for my person children. Specifically at
Students' Council about a month ago, we had the AUFSG come speak to us about the state of faculty St. John. And what really drove home to me was the safety aspect, was student safety here and the status of that. Specifically, the fact that patrols here are minimal, that it takes minimum half an hour for a protective services officer to get here if those buttons are pushed, and the campus has a state-of-the-art camera system, however, it's not always reliable. And if break-ins happens, it's like pulling teeth to get to the university and come and inspect it. I think that's unacceptable. I have a history in emergency services, and it's ridiculous. So what I want to do, if elected VP Operations Finance, is specifically sit on the Protective Services Advisory Board and push and push and push and push for greater controls here with the ultimate goal of having a Protective Services officer sit here. Now, this may not sound like an operations finance role, and I realize that. However, as we've seen this year, an advocacy role in this position can find success. And I want to continue to push that because this issue is very close to my heart. And with the ultimate goal of having a protective services officer stationed here, and the short-term goal of I want to have more APDs positioned here, just in case the protective services aren't able to get here in time to save people. So my name is Robin Patches, and I hope you vote for me for VP Operations and Finance. Thank you.
Candidates for Vice President of Operations and Finance. Move on to the Vice President Student Life Race, starting with Levi Lyon.
Levi. Et pendant l'école primaire et secondaire, j'étais étudiant des notes en français. Mais maintenant, à l'université, je ne parle pas régulièrement. Alors, je prie beaucoup. Je suis désolé, mais the rest of my presentation can be in English. So hello, my name is Levi. I'm running for Vice President Student Life, and I'm running on 3 main platform points. But I'm really only going to touch on probably 1 or 2 that really matter most here. The first is the UPass, because people need to get to and from campus, or to and from the grocery store, to and from the movie theater, to and from the mall, and they need an affordable, reliable way to do that. Whoever gets into my position is going to be negotiating with McEwen, Norquist, and Nate to come up with another 3-year agreement to bring the students in a referendum next year. I'd like to see the program renewed. If more than half of the students vote for that, it will be renewed again for another 3-year term. Back in January, we heard from the Association de l'Universitaire de la Campus Saint-Jean, who told us that a lot of students here would prefer more parking. There's a definite lack of parking on campus. That's not really my jam, but I would like to coordinate with both either Monsieur Champagne or the president, who sits on the Property and Finance Board, to try and convince the university to actually listen to what you guys want, see what you guys want and not what they want. Unfortunately, I don't have time to touch on the other points now. So if you'd like to know more, please visit my website, lf4vpsl.com. La semaine prochaine, votez pour moi. Levi Clement. Merci beaucoup.
Your second candidate for VPSL is Kevin Wang.
Salut, Saint-Jean. On a me demander des questions en français parce que je comprends le français, mais je ne parle bien le français. The rest of the presentation will be in English. I'm sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Wang, and I'm running to be your next Vice President of Student Life. I understand that there are certain issues here at Campus St. John. One is with language, and the second of all is with security. I feel like the overarching theme is that the university does not prioritize Campus St. John's when it should, because it is the only French language campus in all of Western Canada. And I think that makes a very good reason to prioritize this place that is so full of Francophone culture, especially Alberta Francophone culture. What I want to do with regards to language is continue the efforts that have been made to have essential things like fair tracks or scholarship information available in French. But in addition, I want to have other things like mental health services, resources translated into French, because I understand you guys only have a single counselor who speaks French. Am I correct? Yeah, so that's something that I want to do. As for the security issue, I feel like it's several portfolios actually. I want the Vice President External to actually go out to the city and ask them why this region of Edmonton has such bad security issues and how they can fix that. On top of that, really encourage University of Alberta Protective Services to come out here, maintain the security of our students. If you like what I'm saying, please vote for me on March 2nd and 3rd, and visit votekevinwangvpsl.com for more information. Merci.
Your third candidate for VPSL is Jordan Smith.
Bonjour tout le monde. Honnêtement, c'est un peu bizarre d'être sur ce côté du micro et non pas celui-là. Normalement, à chaque année, c'est moi qui viens, qui pose des questions vraiment difficiles pour faire peur aux gens. Tout d'abord, j'aimerais juste parler de vous inviter à visiter mon site web, vpsl2016.com. Là, vous pouvez voir ma plateforme et pourquoi je vous présente pour cette position. Une chose qui m'énerve à la folie, c'est qu'à chaque année, et cette année c'est encore pareil, on vient ici et on parle et on parle et on parle et on parle, on promet et on promet et on promet. Et c'est bien beau, c'est fantastique, ça encourage les gens à voter, mais à la fin de la journée, on ne réalise pas nos projets. Je crois aussi que ce n'est pas juste un problème ici. Tous les candidats, on passe autour, on parle aux gens, on dit on va faire ça, on va faire ci, on ne fait rien. Ma plateforme se pose sur 3 buts qui sont concrets, qui sont tangibles, qui sont réalistes et qui sont facilariser pour vous autres. J'aimerais lutter pour les résidents et s'assurer que la collection des frais de résidence va commencer encore pour continuer la culture, le développement des amitiés dans nos résidences. J'aimerais engendrer et encourager un sens de bien-être, non seulement mental, mais physique aussi, pour que les examens soient moins stressants et votre parcours scolaire pourrait pouvoir connaître plus de succès. Finalement, j'aimerais augmenter l'importance de votre atout dans votre vie universitaire. Parce que je pense que le fait que 21% des étudiants en général votent est absolument terrible. So, posez-nous les bonnes questions, j'aimerais les entendre et j'aimerais les répondre. Votez ce mail le 2 et 3 mars. Merci.
Last candidate for Vice President Student Life is Francesca Alberta.
Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Francesca, pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas, et je me présente pour VP Student Life ou VP à la vie étudiante. Alors pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas, en ce moment j'ai le poste de VP interne à la FFJ qui est notre association étudiante. Donc ce poste m'a permis de non seulement communiquer avec l'administration, mais aussi collaborer avec notre association des résidents, aussi collaborer avec les groupes étudiants, les clubs étudiants, et les diriger et développer un sens de collaboration entre eux, ainsi que entre eux et la UFJ. Ces choses-là vont exactement m'aider dans mon poste que je ferai si élu l'année prochaine. La première chose que je voudrais faire, c'est m'assurer que les associations résidentes ont ce dont ils ont besoin pour continuer à exister et à défendre le droit et le bien-être de leurs résidents. Deux, je veux assurer que les groupes étudiants et les clubs étudiants ont plus d'autonomie et que la voix étudiante est non seulement écoutée, mais amplifiée. La deuxième chose que je veux faire, c'est m'assurer que les services de santé mentale sont non seulement disponibles en français, mais revoir la manière dont ils existent. J'ai fait beaucoup de consultations, dont l'une avec Peersport. Je veux trouver un moyen pour m'assurer que même si on a une personne ici, que ce service soit utilisé, qu'il soit bien publicisé, qu'on fasse le mieux que l'on puisse pour que les étudiants l'utilisent, mais non seulement ça, que ça soit vraiment un point clé pour qu'ils se sentent bien au campus. Je vous assure que si je suis élue, le campus ne sera pas ignoré parce que mon cœur est ici. Donc merci beaucoup. Francesca for VP Student Life sur Facebook et electfrancesca.com mon website.
Candidates for Vice President Student Life. Move on to the Board of Governors representative race. The first candidate is Home Champagne.
Allô tout le monde, donc je m'appelle Corinne Champagne et je vais être votre prochain représentant sur le bureau des gouverneurs de l'université. Mais est-ce que vous savez c'est quoi le bureau des gouverneurs? C'est ça le problème! Le problème c'est que moi, un de mes anciens professeurs, il m'a dit, quand tu construis une maison, il ne faut pas que tu commences avec le toit. Et tout de suite, on dirait que c'est ça qu'on a. On a un toit de représentation qui est par-dessus nous, mais on n'a pas la fondation. La fondation, c'est les étudiants. Si les étudiants ne sont pas au courant de c'est quoi le bureau des gouverneurs, et s'ils ont des représentants dessus, alors il y a un problème. On n'a pas une bonne maison. Mes amis, vraiment, moi, ce que je veux faire pendant mon temps, c'est éduquer les gens au sujet de c'est quoi le bureau des gouverneurs et rendre ça plus accessible. Parce que le bureau des gouverneurs, ça gère des choses comme les frais de scolarité, les coûts de résidence, les nouveaux bâtiments, comme des nouvelles résidences, des rénovations dans les résidences. Donc, ça fait toutes sortes de choses comme ça importantes. Et on a des représentations étudiantes dessus ça. C'est important que les étudiants soient au courant de ça et que le représentant lui-même ait un bon contact avec les étudiants. J'ai déjà mis un mécanisme sur mon site web, votechampagne2016.com, qui permet aux gens de me donner un feedback. J'espère utiliser un mécanisme semblable si élu. Je vais aussi mettre mes rapports comme VP au blog, comme ça c'est encore plus accessible, parce que tout de suite, sur le site web de Student Union, c'est très difficile à accéder. Je Je veux aussi augmenter la collaboration avec d'autres execs parce que je trouve qu'il n'y en a pas assez et je veux définir le rôle du représentant comme ça les étudiants savent quoi espérer parce que tout n'est pas de définition. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Bon débat. Posez des questions parce que c'est pour ça qu'on est là. Merci.
Next up is the Gateway Plebiscite Yes side, and Beth Mansell from the Gateway is here to
Hi everyone, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's so great to see so many engaged students here today. I'm Beth, I'm the Gateway's Executive Director, and this year the Gateway is asking its mandatory plebiscite question. So this question will now come up every 5 years, and every dedicated fee unit at the university has to ask a plebiscite question that asks students whether or not they wish to continue paying the fee that they currently pay. So we're not asking for a fee increase or anything, we just want to know whether or not we're doing a good job for students. So the big question that kind of comes up with these DFU plebiscites is what value do we have for students? And I can tell you now that the Gateway is an enormous resource on campus and provides very, very good value for all students, no matter where you are out here at Campus Saint Jean. I know a few weeks ago we covered all the security problems that are going on here. So what does that do for you guys? It kind of gives you guys an extra level of accountability and transparency to the decisions that are being made, and it publicizes all the concerns that are going on here. We come out here and we talk to you guys, we give you a voice that you're able to kind of display to the broader community as well as the North Campus there. So yeah, vote yes on March 2nd and 3rd. If you guys ever want to get involved with the Gateway, we're very, very happy to welcome CSJ students. We would love to be able to publish more articles in French, all that good stuff. So visit our Facebook page, vote yes for the Gateway, and our website, yesgateway.com, and just find out a little bit more about why a free and independent student press is very important for a healthy campus community. Thank you.
Okay, so those are all the candidates and sides in the election this year. We'll move on to audience questions now. If you have any questions, I have the mic in front of me. Say your name and what race your question is directed towards. And please only ask questions to your friend.
Hello. Beth, this is towards you. My name is Mervin. I'm a fifth-year student at the U of A. So I was involved in the Gateway for a couple of years back, even since before you got there. And I have a lot of friends in the fact community, and one of the big problems they always had was actually getting papers to the fact, or making the fact community feel like feeling like, you know, their needs are being met, that they're actually part of the whole campus community, they're not being treated like a satellite. So what has the Gateway done since you've come there in terms of trying to bring in fact, to cater to fact, and make sure that they're already represented by the Gateway?
Thank you. To respond.
So that's actually the first question I've been asked throughout all of these debates, and thank you. Yeah, so that's definitely a problem we've encountered in the past few years. We've had a few bad business managers that haven't been as interested in engaging with the student population, and that's something I've definitely tried to change this year. One of the other candidates, Jordan, yesterday brought up the fact that you guys actually have your own kind of campus publication out here, and there's some problems with that as well. So I guess at the Gateway, now that we're kind of better equipped we have a better organizational structure and management, we kind of have the resources to be able to support you guys if you do want to publish something, you do want to have that organizational structure out here to put out some kind of monthly publication, whether it's only like 12 pages long or whatever it is, we want to be able to support things like that. So, and yeah, we have the resources to do it, and we're always open to ideas, feedback, and if you guys think that we're not coming out here enough, maybe we can look at putting more racks in places that that are more accessible for you. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is David. I'm a fourth-year student here at Campus Saint Jean. My question is for the VPSL race. Lots of the candidates spoke about residents and fees and collecting fees, advocating for that. And for the people that didn't talk about it, it's going to be a huge part of your role if you're elected. So I want to know, another huge part about residence that concerns students is student employment, so specifically the RA position in residence. In my second year, I was an RA as well. And if we don't have a student association in residence, that would greatly affect our roles as well. Put a lot more work on our backs. So I want to know what you think about the RA's role in all of this, on this issue, and also how you plan to address that as VPSO.
First answer will be Francesca, followed by Jordan, followed by Kevin, followed by
Merci pour ta question, David. Donc, la première chose que je ferais, c'est m'assurer que les associations résidentes existent. Donc, la première chose, c'est demander une façon de collectionner les frais qui est indépendante de Resident Services si cela ne marche pas. Pour la faculté Saint-Jean en particulier, la RFSJ a un rôle spécial parce que l'administration est en fait sur notre côté. Donc, c'est très très différent de la situation qui se passe au campus Nord. Donc, ce que je ferais pour les RA, c'est de m'assurer qu'il y a une position de mentorat, même s'ils ne sont pas payés, il devrait y avoir tout le temps quelqu'un qui représente les étudiants et qui organise des événements pour eux. Donc maintenant, le rôle des associations résidentes est en train de changer un peu d'être moins sur les événements et pas moins sur les événements, mais ajouter du rôle de la revendication, donc advocacy. Ce dont je veux m'assurer, c'est que même si les RAs ne sont pas
Thank Francesca.
Merci pour la question, David. Comme tu le sais, j'étais le président de l'Association des résidents de la faculté Saint-Jean il y a 2 ans et j'étais doué d'avoir une équipe de Resident Services dont j'ai travaillé extrêmement bien avec. Et je pense que ça, c'est une clé. Si on prévoit que les frais ne seront plus collectionnés, ce que j'aimerais prévoir, je vais lutter le plus que je peux pour s'assurer que les frais reviennent, mais pensons du cas où ça ne revient pas. Il va falloir que les résidents et les mentorats qui seront là travaillent extrêmement fort avec les employés de Resident Services pour s'assurer que la culture peut continuer. Ce que j'aime pas quand les Resident Services font de programmation, c'est l'université qui donne les programmes pour les étudiants, par les étudiants. Une association de résidence donne les programmes et les événements et l'advocacy par les étudiants, pour les étudiants. So, il va falloir qu'on travaille extrêmement étroitement ensemble pour s'assurer que la culture peut continuer à développer au campus.
Thank you, Jordan.
Like, are you asking about the RA's role in fee collection, or whether how fee collection will be done? Is that correct?
Or like how that will affect the RAs and students?
Wait, and the RAs or like the floor coordinators, like Lester, is that equivalent?
RAs?
I know the RAs are employed by resident services. Okay.
Your time starts.
Okay. So I'm just going to answer your question about fee collection in general and what the RA's role would be in that. Is that what you're asking? No. Just fee collection in general stuff? RAs are going to be pressured a lot because there will be no faculty associations to take on part of the role. Because I know the residents associations contribute a lot to the membership, the atmosphere, so RAs will be overworked. They will be the only people who will be working actively at the lower level, so that's what will happen. They will be overworked and probably underpaid at the same time. Also, the mental health of them has suffered a lot, especially in LHSA where they've already been disbanded. So I can foresee that becoming a problem should residents associations become less significant.
Merci pour la question, David. I'm a bit of a disadvantage. I've I don't live in residence. I've never lived in residence, and I'm really not familiar with the processes involved, which at first I thought was a huge disadvantage, but I started to look at it, and it's almost like an advantage. I have an outsider's perspective on the situation. It means that I'm going to have to coordinate a lot with the AUFSJ, along with residences here, resident services, and each residence has its own different set of priorities and needs. So I'm going to be coordinating with all parties involved, everybody living in residence, residents, RAs, floor pointers, student staff, they all know what you need. So I can go to them. So communication and advocacy is very important. So I don't have a direct answer to your question. That's going to be something that if elected into the role that I will be kind of on the go. Merci.
Bonjour les candidats, everybody. I was a graduate of Illinois and president of the Association, the Residence Association here. Over the last few days, we've been walking through our residences, so I'm not going to repeat the dead work of the question itself. I have a very specific question to our student. So I know this key fluctuation side, I've worked at both colleges, and what I've noticed is that a lot of the time with the university, the students what's going on to implement policies as a blanket for every residency in the exact same way. And this isn't a scope for residencies, but for faculties as well. So for the VP itself, I'd like to ask, do you think it is important that East Los Angeles is treated differently because of its very close time on its campus life and not just residence life? Or would it be more fair for all residencies to treat the same?
First answer will be Jordan, followed by Kevin, followed by Francesca, and Levi.
Merci pour la question. Vraiment fantastique. Je pense que le clé, avant tout, c'est de parler avec les résidents. Une chose que j'aime pas dans la politique de Resident Services, c'est qu'ils se parlent pour les étudiants ou ils écoutent les étudiants au lieu de parler avec les étudiants et écouter aux résidents. Donc, je pense que si le désir existe au sein de la résidence Saint-Jean de se prononcer et de séparer les autres résidences, je pense qu'on devrait le faire. Si les résidents se pensent plus un parti du communauté au large, on devrait continuer comme ça. So, en tant que VPSL, je ne pense pas que c'est à moi de prendre la décision pour les résidents. C'est à moi d'écouter aux résidents et travailler le plus que je peux pour s'assurer que vos intérêts sont bien garantis. Donc, je ne parle pas pour vous, je parle avec vous, je ne travaille pas pour vous, je travaille avec vous.
So, with regards to residences, I feel like all residences have some tie with campus life. That is, especially here in Campus St. John, with a small community, that the residence really makes a huge impact on campus life. So, do I think a blanket strategy is better, or do I think like a more specific tailored strategy is better? I think that a blanket strategy is needed so that it can be applied to all residences equally. And if you have special interests, you can form something underneath. So, like, especially for a unique place here like Campus St. John. That's all that I have to say.
Excellente question. Donc, j'ai déjà parlé avec et je sais qu'il y a le désir de la part de la RFJ d'être traité différemment. Pourquoi? Parce que notre administration supporte la RFJ. Et la manière dont ça se passe maintenant, c'est que Resident Services prend un côté, SU prend un autre côté, et c'est très polarisé. Donc les résidents en souffrent et se trouvent dans un limbo et ils ne savent pas ce qui va leur arriver. Je pense qu'une solution personnalisée serait parfaite. Je vais juste donner un petit exemple parce qu'on sait que la réfugie et la culture francophone est cruciale à la vie en résidence. Donc déjà, le campus en lui-même est traité d'une autre manière que les faculty associations. Donc je pense que cela devrait s'appliquer aussi pour la résidence Saint-Jean. Donc, je pense que c'est une solution personnalisée qui serait parfaite. Je vais juste donner un petit exemple parce qu'on sait que la réfugie et la culture francophone est cruciale à la vie en résidence. Donc déjà, le campus en lui-même est traité d'une autre manière que les faculty associations. Donc je pense que cela devrait s'appliquer aussi pour la résidence Saint-Jean. Donc Juste un petit exemple, East Campus Village, par exemple, serait plus affecté par un opt-in system parce que les gens, il y a moins d'événements, donc les gens paieraient moins les frais, donc ça doit être vraiment personnalisé.
Merci pour la question. No, I don't think a blanket strategy is what's best for students or students in residence. For the university administration, it makes sense. If something happens, whether you're in Président Saint Jean or Vista or ECD, they can pull up one agreement or one blanket strategy and say, oh, they can go through it and it's done. If you have several, then you have to move through, you have to find the one that pertains to that residence. So ideally for them, yeah, one would be better. But for students, you need, like you said, residence life here, RSJ has a different set of needs and wants. ECB has a different set of needs and wants. Lister, Alder, Linden House, they're all different. So I believe that we need to tailor-make these agreements accordingly for the students and residents involved. Thank you.
If there any questions for anyone other than the Albright? Okay.
Okay, I'm Ren. I am a member of the IFSG this year. So for the president, having worked with them this year, what have you seen work and not work, and how do you plan to apply those observations to your candidature?
Awesome. Thanks for the question. First to answer will be Dylan, followed by Cody, followed by Cody.
Thanks for the question. Awesome question. The biggest thing that I think I do differently than Navneet is very much is good at working with the administration and is okay kind of finding compromise. One of the things that I'll bring up a specific example that actually came up in our last council meeting. So there is a mandatory non-instructional fee committee that she's created or that she's worked with the university administration, and part of that committee, there's a certain inflationary increase on our new mandatory non-instructional fees that we would agree to. This is different than CPI. It's based on an entirely different measure, and on average, it would mean an increase over CPI of about 2%. I think she took that wrong, and I think she compromised way too hard when it came to that. And I brought it up to council, and I tried to stop it because I think she gave up a little bit too much of student money for that, and she gave up a principle. So that's one specific.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. There you go. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, I've had the year to work with Demi. I've seen what she's done. I think Nav and I, we agree on some things, we disagree on some things. Something that I think both of us students really become obvious is we're very willing to fight. We're very stubborn a lot of the time, and very much have this idea of the students at the front of our minds. In exec committee, a lot of the time, her and I will be dominating a lot of the conversation. I think that's something that I would bring to the position as well, something that I would work on, especially when talking to the government and to the administration. Navneet has been fantastic at never being okay with good enough and never be like kind of letting things go or compromising. She's very good at making sure that the best deal is reached for students, and that's something that I would absolutely continue, because I believe like there is a place for compromise, but you can never let go. You can never compromise your values or why you're doing it. And I think that's a lot that we share in common, we have in common, and that I would continue as president. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Ren. I think the one thing that I admire the most about Navneet is her presence on social media. She really makes every single effort to connect with students, whether it's dry governance, like I remember one time when the meal plan changes in Lister were coming forward to the Board of Governors, she like made a way to sound it interesting to most students on campus. And it was like a 10-page Board of Governors agenda item. I don't know how I do that, but that's what I'd honestly work on if I became president. I'd ask Navneet, how do you use your social media profile to connect with students and make sure that they're aware of the issues? Because I know that's been a shortcoming of myself for sure this year. I'm great at working hard, and I'm great at making sure that students are being listened to, but I'm not the greatest at saying, yeah, I did this for you. I'm not the greatest at bragging, but I'd like to pick up some tips from Navneet on how to really make sure that we're using social media so that every student knows what they're getting from their students. Thanks.
academic, external, operations, and finance. What was your question for? Okay, that's okay.
Pull up my question. I still feel pretty short. But with regards to tuition for the president, with regards to tuition, financial aid, etc., how do you plan on approaching it, and how does your plan differ from the other candidates?
Okay, we're going 45 seconds this time, so we can get in the last question. We'll start with Cody, and then Fahim, and then Dylan.
This is going to be hard too. Okay, so tuition. As you've seen, Dylan and I have similar points about actually looking at blanket lowering tuition, while Fahim is looking at grants in the same way that Ontario, like we were talking about how Ontario did it. While I agree with Fahim's, I do think like it's good. If that's what the government's offering, I'd take it, but I think mine is better. And how mine differs from, well, sorry.
You do you.
So Dylan and I have the same idea to lower tuition using the formula from when it was deregulated in the early 90s. Where mine differs is that I think you look at tuition as a resource, not as a commodity. So after that price is reached, you look at what it actually costs to educate a student, because then you find a relevant number and not just some random one that's been made up and kind of added on over the years. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So, Cody alluded that I'm the one presidential candidate who isn't advocating for across the board cuts to tuition. I think that it is unrealistic. It's probably a 5-year advocacy point for the students union if we do it, and it's also going to shut us out on a lot of other conversations. Tuition isn't the only point that we advocate on. We also need to secure more mental health funding for the university. We also need to make sure that we have work opportunities for spiritual learning for our students. And I really think that if you advocate for that student financial aid system, it's not a blanket, every student is going to see a $3,000 decrease in their tuition. It's going to be those who need decreases, those who need financial support will get it most, but we can also not just talk about financial support, but also mental health support, work experience support. And that's where I really differ from the other two candidates. And a lot more diverse, and a lot more willing to get you change right now. Thank you.
Okay, so I actually have both. In the theme of affordability in my platform, I have the creation of a low-income grant. Grants are really good because their purpose is to give access to students who would usually have it. We don't see low-income students, or they're generally underrepresented in post-secondary education, so that's why the grant needs to happen. At the same time, though, I don't think for anyone tuition is affordable. Like whether you come from a high-income background, a middle-income background, or a low-income background, I don't think tuition is affordable for any of those people. And so that's why you need both. You need a tuition reduction, but you also need grants for low-income students. Tuition for every student needs to be lowered, and grants need to help low-income students access university.
It's true we have more options for classes, but sometimes that can actually delay our degree because some courses are required to be in French, some courses are only offered in certain semesters. Because of that, some people have to take 5, 6, maybe even more years. So what can the academic candidates do to make sure that people aren't staying here longer than they have to, like in terms of offering courses, like having them more
Sure, thank you for the question. Thank you for asking an academic question. So in terms of what the Vice President Academic can do, base it on a whole bunch of the working boards and committees that the university has. So in terms of like program requirements, program changes, any sort of academic proposal that anybody wants to make, whether it's students, whether faculty, or faculty association, the Vice President Academic would be key to making sure that that voice is heard when these meetings happen, that this issue is brought up, and that it's a fair representation I think the university is willing to ignore students and not really take their issues seriously and not have honest conversations. So that's, I think, what I would think as your vice president, and make sure that these conversations are happening and they're happening in a very informed way.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for the question. I actually have a lot about flexible course lists in my platform. I only have 45 seconds, so I encourage you to read it at bookreader.ca. But one of the big problems is there isn't enough direct student representation on faculty and department councils. In fact, the 23% of the departments at the U of A have no student representation on their department councils at all. And those are the places that they choose which classes are offered when, in collaboration with the registrar's office, undergraduate programming, and things like which professors get tenure. It's really important that the Students' Union and the VP Academic is advocating to have direct student representation on those specific Durham Northern councils. So that's what I would do if I was elected VP Academic. Thanks.
And my second one would be for probably the presidents, because it's such a hard situation. As far as tuition goes, you guys touched over the Ontario plan. Now, how do you guys feel about that? And what can you do to make, maybe, let's say, have something similar in Alberta, or even get the conversation started? You guys want to
Thanks for the question. First answer will be me, followed by Dylan, followed by Dylan.
Thanks. So actually the Ontario model is what I'd like to use to advocate for in Alberta. What I'd really like to see, and I agree with what Dylan said, that tuition is too expensive for everybody on campus. The financial aid system that I have in mind is that everybody gets a small rebate on their tuition, but it increases as your financial aid. So everybody gets a rebate on their tuition. Maybe it's $50 per course, adding up to $500 for a full course loan. But it increases up to 50% of your tuition if you're from a low socioeconomic background. That's similar, not identical to what's in Ontario. That's what I advocate for, because it's what truly incentivizes people who aren't first come to post-secondary education. So you make post-secondary more of an opportunity equalizer, and it really is a more progressive system that just across the board cuts the tuition. Thank you.
So awesome that Ontario did this. Like a huge win for USAP, like their provincial lobbying organization. And I think I'd like to see the same thing. Obviously, we're not going to get to institutions for low income workers right off the bat, but what we are going to be able to do is create an upfront grant. That's the biggest thing that we need to do, because it's not only about money, but it's also about debt. So when you're a low income student, generally you find that you're averse to debt. So when you look at the price tag of the university, you're looking at $6,000-$7,000. What we need to do is what I'd like to create is low income grant upfront. So you know, in high school, when you're in grade 12, you're from a low income student, you're getting $5,000 right off the top, and your first year you're basically getting $2,000. So I think we need to start the conversation and say there's no financial aid system in Alberta. There's almost no available financial aid in Alberta, and we need to actually begin that. And that's where we start as well.
So in regards to what the province of Ontario has done, I do really like it. I see a few issues with it. Obviously, it's better than what existed, so it's good. Any step forward. But a lot of what the issue is that price tag that Dylan was talking about. A lot of students in high school, the ones who were talking about affordability, talking about people who wouldn't otherwise be able to get a post-secondary education, it may seem very easy to be able to offer up grants, not even just at the end, but at the beginning, but you still have to apply for them. A lot of the issues around that are people are really busy. The same types of people that are low-income students are the types to work through high school, and not for university, just to support families. So I'd like to look at something in the same way that some scholarships are offered, like doing automatic consideration instead of having to apply for it. If this is the system we want, to be able to automatically grant the students money without an application and these other questions.
au temps de cela, et ici au campus Saint-Jean. Ma question locale, que ce soit, il y a une question de c'est pas social qu'ici au campus Saint-Jean, nous avons des besoins pour les services